doesn't die when the body dies. So I know that some of our pets, like that cat Miracle, is now in my cat Hope. I mean, and Rags has part of Furphy in him, who died years ago. And it's part of what I realized. As a child, I kept begging my parents to get a dog. And they didn't want one in the house we were in. But finally, we got one. And it lasted a week. And then my parents, I know they were lying to me. Oh, it has mange. We have to take it back. And I'm laughing, too, because my mother used to lower the dog in a harness out the kitchen window, just one floor, to go pee and poop, and then she'd haul him back in. And he didn't mind. He was just a little thing. But then they returned him. And I knew it wasn't true. But later in life, I was thinking, you're a little kid. Why do you keep saying you want a dog? And I had a past life experience when somebody said to me over the telephone, why are you living this life? I went into a trance. And to summarize it, I killed with a sword, including some big dogs that were protecting people. And I really felt that it was a big part of my trying to make up for what I had done that was so cruel in the past. And there's a story, Wolfen. I don't know if you've ever read it. I was crying when I read it to our kids, and they thought I was nuts, reading a story and crying. Knight comes home from the war. He knows his wife has had a baby while he's away, so he runs up to the nursery. The crib is upside down. There's blood everywhere. His dog is sitting there covered in blood. He takes out his sword and kills the dog. He figures he's killed my child, my son. But then he picks up the crib, and his child is lying there perfectly well with a dead wolf lying next to him. And he realizes he's killed the dog that has saved his child. And, was I crying. And I have built memorial monuments, cairns, rocks, because that's what the Knight did for his dog. So I've done it in our yard, built things to them. And even then I learned I'm bringing a new stone every morning to the grave of one of the dogs who died. And then I heard the dog say to me, why don't you bring me a flower? It changed my whole day. Because then I got up in the morning and I wasn't looking for a rock. I was looking for a pretty flower.
Right.
And what a gift that was to hear the dog tell me to bring me a flower. But I really believe, and I know, that we all have past life in the sense of consciousness of people who have preceded us. And those are things that lead us into certain careers, certain talents, and, to just be aware that all these things are going on within us.
Well, I wanted to ask Sally a question because I believe there are many out there that are wondering, what's the difference of holistic physical therapy, and are there differences with the myofascial and all that you do with adults versus animals? What's the difference there?
Well, I do work with humans and animals, and many a dog will bring their person to me so that I can work on the dog and then the person, and then the person's husband and their children, and then their cat. So holistic physical therapy is another way of looking at the whole body and the mind and the emotional well-being, the physical well-being, mental, emotional, and spiritual health. So you've got those four aspects of your whole being that is addressed with holistic physical therapy. And traditional physical therapy, you're just really looking at the structure and function. So to go to the next level and look at the mental, emotional, and spiritual health of an animal or a person really helps you address the root cause and then help create long-term healing, because you're engaging the self-healing mechanism of the animal or person that you're working on. And so all of the work I do is what is considered non-invasive therapy. So instead of going, it's like an elbow won't straighten. Instead of going and pushing on it and trying to straighten it, the things I do are non-invasive, and you go in the direction of ease. So you would bend the elbow as much as you could and extra bend it, and then you'll notice that you get more range going in the other direction. So that's a literal approach, but, with the spiritual, emotional, and cognitive well-being, it's the same idea. Come up against your resistance or go with what you know and then gradually ease into the resistance. And so Linda Tellington called it flying under the radar with the craniosacral therapy because, you're just not engaging the body's resistance mechanism because the touch is light. So a lot of the work I do is very light touch, and of course I do energetic work as well. And I've seen with horses and dogs and humans incredible improvements in balance because of this approach, because you can't really stand on one leg very well if you have spiritual, cognitive, and emotional issues going on. And I see this because I teach yoga, and I see that as people become more and more whole in their whole being, that they have improved balance, and it's not just your muscular ability to balance. And of course, I see tons of horses because they do have gait problems and gait abnormalities and not even footfalls on every stride. And so balance is a big part of that. And then the other interesting thing, and I'd like to hear what Bernie's response to this is, I find, too, that when you're looking at, particularly with a horse and rider, it's obvious, but even with a person and their cat or a person and their dog, that they're a whole being between them. And I remember early in my career, maybe 25 years ago, thinking, isn't it funny? I have all these clients that have right shoulder pain and all these cats that have right shoulder pain that come with them. And I thought, geez, a cat, they're crawling around the house doing their own thing. They're supposed to be so independent. But cats, I noticed, are super sensitive and really pick up what's going on in their person's body. And so I would find that I'd work on the cat, and then his shoulder would be better, and the person would come, and they'd be carrying the cat carrier in their right arm, and I'd say, geez, how's your shoulder? And they'd say, my shoulder's way better. Thank you for asking. I don't know what I did, but it's because I was working on their cat. They didn't realize it. So it's, your animal, just like you and your child, your animal and you is one system, and, or several animals. And it's, obvious when you're sitting on a horse that you become one being, but you are when you're walking your dog or reading with your cat on your lap, too.
No question.
And they're receiving that vibrational piece, too.
And I used to get criticized for bringing up things like that with people. You know what I mean? What's going on in your life, your emotions. And now it's very scientific. I mean, from your genes being affected to immune system. I always say these studies have been done that if you draw blood from actors while they're in a comedy, their immune functions improve, stress hormone levels are down. Draw the blood while they're in a tragedy, and the opposite happens. And they're only acting. So when it's your life, and I hear so many stories about animals, well, even my cat, Miracle, that if I was in bed because of a cold or not feeling well, she'd jump up on the bed, sit on my chest, and heal me. But if I was being lazy and just lying down for no reason, no, Miracle's not sitting on my chest. She'd look at me like, hey, come on. Get up and let's get going.
It's interesting you bring up your cat, Bernie, in particular, because one of the things I've learned, there's a woman in California doing studies on this, but she's found that cats modulate their purring to increase the vibrational frequency of the organ that they're working on, and we all know how cats will sit on you in need. And other animals, other species like dolphins use their sonar, but they just blast all of their frequencies, whereas a cat really is specific, saying, okay, I'm going to do what I need to bring this liver up to where it should be.
Well, we're going out to a break, so that's a perfect segue. And everyone, don't go away. More with Mind Health Matters and Dr. Bernie Siegel and his guest, Sally Morgan, when we return.
Join Dr. Bernie Siegel on Mind Health Matters every week, Wednesday through Friday, 12 p.m. and 12 a.m. Eastern Time on Dream Vision 7 Radio Network. Bernie will draw from his inspirational personal journey, offering us special nuggets of his sacred wisdom. Listen in as Bernie reminds us to be fully engaged in life.
If you're living with fear and stress in your life, there is an answer.
If you're ready for a better way, step through the doorway.
The Doorway is a multimedia online course for transcending fear, transforming relationships, accessing inner guidance, and experiencing more inspiration and trust in your life.
To learn more about these online courses based on the teachings of A Course in Miracles and David Hoffmeister, go to acimcourses.com.
Dr. Bernie Siegel's writings and the 12 books he's published so far reflect his passion to reach people struggling with all of life's challenges. His latest, A Book of Miracles, inspiring true stories of healing, gratitude, and love, is both riveting and belief-expanding. Bernie has produced wonderful resources for everyone, like 365 prescriptions for the soul, daily messages of inspiration, hope, and love, and faith, hope, and healing. Bernie's books also include those like Love, Magic, and Mud Pies, a great resource for parents, and delightful loving stories like Buddy's Candle to help children of all ages cope with the loss of a loved one, be it a pet or a parent. To purchase Bernie's books, CDs, or DVDs, go to BernieSiegelMD.com. And while you're there, empower the mind, body, and spirit with Bernie's heartwarming articles.
Ever wonder what it's like to have your own radio show? Well, wonder no longer, because you can dip into the radio airwaves by being host for the day on syndicated Dream Vision 7 radio network. It's a fabulous way to get your radio feet wet. It's an opportunity to market your business, modality, or book. Have a guest, mention a sponsor, and take callers. Or you may want to facilitate a lesson by going solo. It's up to you. Listeners can be online, mobile, in cars with Bluetooth, or listen through Amazon's Echo by asking, Alexa, play Dream Vision 7 Radio Network. For more details, go to dreamvision7radio.com and click on Host for the Day.
This is Dream Vision 7 Radio Network, uniting mankind with universal love. Our shows are created from the heart, bringing each listener to a place of divine enlightenment. Breathe, relax, and enjoy. Let life flow.
And we are back. If you'd like to save on Bernie's books and items, you can go to wisdomoftheages.biz. That's B-I-Z. That's his son and daughter-in-law's website. You can look at all of Bernie's items there, and if you'd like to save 15%, you put code 27 in the comment box for that discount. Again, you can order, or connect, I should say, BernieSiegelMD.com and SallyMorganPT.com. And you can order her book as well, Dances of the Heart, Connecting with Animals. Bernie?
Got to tell you another story. This man was very, very sick, and the son was saying that the dog wouldn't leave the bedroom. So he was really worried about his father. He said I had to drag him out, to get him to pee and poop, feed him in the bedroom. And he said I came home from work one day, and the dog was in the kitchen. I knew my father was getting well. And he walked in, and, of course, his father verified the fact that he was feeling better. And even in nursing homes, you hear this so often that there are times where the animal goes to those who are dying and just keeps them company, and other times where they just go in to help them feel better. I mean, the people working with these pets know what those animals are telling them, and they let the animals be part of the therapy and give them information about how people are doing.
Well, I always laugh when I think of you, Bernie. I used to bring my dogs to your talks at big conferences and things, and whenever you would talk about animals or make a joke, Comet would start barking as if on cue to laugh at your jokes. And when you started talking about animals, once he got loose and he wound his way up to the stage and had a little conversation with you, and then he went through the audience and he was sitting with this one woman in like the fifth row from the back, and I couldn't even find him. And then the meeting broke up and she was still sitting there crying with him on her lap, and you had a long conversation with her. So they do know where to go and who needs them.
Oh, yeah. I had that dog, Buddy. He used to go around the room and give me...
Oh, yeah.
If you talked about a Labrador, you could get lab reports. But he'd go around the room, look up at people, and I can hear him say to me, this one's okay. Oh, this one needs help. and he would stay with that person, and give them the love. And I would literally tell people at the end of a meeting, that I got a good report, you're doing well. And these are cancer patients, and I wasn't being crazy or just trying to make them feel better. I really heard that message from him. So, and again, the positive side, this was a study done in Australia by a doctor. After people had a heart attack, he checked on them a year later. If there was a dog in the house, 6% of the